The other big thing is called the von Neumann bottleneck, named after John von Neumann.
Oh, he did the probes and the bottleneck?
Oh, dude, von Neumann did like
Everything.
Von Neumann was one of those few individuals where other people like Fermi would be like, how did you do that?
Was he a magician more than he was a sage?
He was.
Okay.
He was a magician more than he was a sage. But he had its caveats. And we can get into that in another episode. There was one thing where he like proved that the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics was the only interpretation of quantum mechanics. And because it was von Neumann who proved that, everyone else would just not question it. Like if somebody were to question it, they'd just be like, yeah, but von Neumann proved that Copenhagen interpretation is the only interpretation of quantum mechanics, and that would just settle the debate. Right? Which is why it took like 30 years for someone like Bell's inequality and for someone with different versions like the pilot wave theory and all this other kind of like all these other different versions of quantum mechanics, because literally von Neumann had an incorrect proof to prove that the Copenhagen interpretation was correct. Anyways, but he was an incredibly smart guy, and he actually he characterized this thing called the von Neumann bottleneck now, which is this difference between how memory and processing units work. Okay? Because fundamentally, before we had solid state drives, we had and even now that we have solid state drives, we have this separation between RAM and hard disk. Okay? Right? And the hard disk is where you store your permanent memory. The RAM is where you're doing the computation of whatever the thingy that you're doing.
So, for example, if I want to have if I want to take OpenAI's open source model and run it locally on my computer, I need a Mac that has a lot of RAM.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a big hard disk.
Yeah, not necessarily a big hard disk, but like something that will compute efficiently.
Correct.